Just give it another minute. People are joining in. Just give it another minute. People are joining in. All right, I'm going to start with the sound of my bowl to get us in tune together. All right, welcome everybody to this practice session on this full moon night. Some of you have been with me before, some of you are joining for the first time. Welcome to everyone. Today's session is it's a practice session. So while I will be sharing a few things, it's mostly going to be about an inner direct experiencing journey. And I had a chance to live with a Buddhist monk for some years. And every new moon and full moon, we would have an all-night practice session. So while for some of you, this is already quite late at night, just to remind ourselves that there are people who challenge themselves. There are people, not only monks and nuns, but even normal householders, who challenge themselves twice a month to practice more deeply. And so when I was in the monastery, then we had the villagers would come. The entire monastery would be full of villagers, and we would all practice all night. And we would alternate between sitting meditation, walking meditation, some chanting. So it's nice to be with a community of people who likes to practice deeper. Right? So it encourages us. Yeah, with my headphones, you couldn't hear my bowl sound. Well, you could imagine it. Sorry about that. Yeah, that happens sometimes. All right, so I'd like us to take a minute to whatever's been going on in your day, just have a sense of shedding all of that and having a sense of arriving in the here and now and feeling one with yourself, one with this community, and one with the teaching that's happening right now. So go ahead and take a minute. And your eyes can be open or closed. And I'd like you to have a sense of shedding, a sense of dropping, a sense of unzipping from all the identities you've been wearing throughout the day. What's it like to be a nobody? No roles, no designations, no fixed ways of defining yourself. In a world which seems to emphasize doing and achieving, it's also nice to experience just being, not doing something for something, doing something for its own sake. So today's practice is practice for the sake of practice. I don't know if it'll make you peaceful. I don't know if it'll make you more integrated or aligned. Just practice for the sake of practice. Doing things for the sake of doing things. There's something very complete about that. One of the heaviest burdens we carry is the burden of being a person, an identity, a this or a that. And we may not realize it unless we regularly do some kind of practice which helps us step out of this identity. Otherwise, it just feels like normal. But upholding any kind of identity, even if it's the identity of a positive person, is actually a, a psychic burden to carry. Because the truth is, I am this and I am that, and I'm all of it and I'm none of it at the same time. And that's why it's so beautiful, even for a short while, to just allow yourself to be nothing in particular, not having to uphold any identity. Not having to be a good person or a spiritual person or an enlightened person or a wise person or a successful person. Some time back, I was with someone who was quite disturbed. And a part of me wanted to intervene and help and say something or do something. But I wasn't getting a yes from inside. And so all I did was just stay in my heart and just wish well. It was beautiful to not feel compelled to be a teacher or a healer or anything, and just not try to give any knowledge or wisdom. Just stay in the heart and wish well. Even wishing well is an extra thing. Just stay in the heart. Just feel that sense of centeredness and connectedness. Sometimes that's all that we need to do. In the middle of the storm, you find your center. So on this full moon night, I'd like you to imagine yourself as having a crystalline body, transparent body. And doesn't matter if you're indoors or outdoors. Imagine the rays of the full moon are shining right through your crystalline body, your transparent body. The sun has its own unique blessings, and the moon has its own unique blessings. And this is the time to receive the unique frequencies, the unique blessings of the moon. So, what's it like to have a transparent body and feel as though you're getting bathed in the subtle vibrations of the full moon right now? And something deep inside of you is getting cool. Something deep inside of you is relaxing. And something deep inside of you is waking up. So we can see our body as a solid entity or as an energetic entity or as pure light or as pure consciousness. And all those four are right, all those four are true, and also all those four are a perception. It's nice to be flexible, not just see yourself constantly as a heavy physical entity. Also experience yourself as energy. Maybe some of you who exercise regularly, you feel your body as energy. And if you're in a state of love and blessings, you start to experience yourself as light. And as you become curious about what is it that's having this experience, who am I? You start to experience everything as consciousness, including this body. So I want to invite you for the rest of this practice session. See if you can shift from seeing your body as a physical entity to experiencing yourself as pure energy, pure light, pure consciousness, and not even that. This entire practice session is a process of unraveling, untangling. I get the picture of autumn leaves. The leaves are just falling and falling, revealing the full moon behind. So irrespective of what I'm sharing, whether you understand it or not, let there be a process of unraveling, untangling, unburdening, returning to your original state. I like to call it your prime frequency. Undistorted. I've learned a beautiful meditation recently, which is simply about feeling your own heartbeat. So, what's it like to be attentive to your heart region and see if you can feel your own heartbeat? Some of us might have to hold our breath for a few seconds, 5, 10 seconds. Don't be uncomfortable. It might help you feel your own heartbeat. And don't worry if you can't feel it. Chances are it's still there. Just focus on the region of your heart. A natural process of untangling is happening, unburdening is happening. Nothing really has to be done. The beautiful vibrations of this full moon night are saturating us, supporting us. It takes no effort to complete the journey from here to here. In this moment, I'd like us to think of someone in our life who's struggling. Maybe they're unwell. Maybe they're having some other kind of hardship. I just want you to send peaceful thoughts, peaceful vibrations from your heart to them. So go ahead, think of any person or group of people. Just for the next few minutes, radiate loving thoughts, peaceful thoughts. Radiate infinite blessings from your heart to them. Let's start. Radiating silent strength, silent love. And again, come to your heart, radiating silent loving wishes to this person or group of people. All you've got to do is bring gentle attention. It happens by itself. Nothing special has to be done. When you're in a relatively peaceful state, you think of someone else, you're sharing your peace with them. You're including them in your peaceful universe. It's really quite simple. I'd like you to take a stance of a witness, witnessing your own life. As a witness, don't have strong likes and dislikes, don't have strong judgments and preferences. What's it like to see your own life from a distance? Your habits, your thinking pattern, your behavior. It's like you're looking at yourself from outside of yourself. Just taking note. What's your day like? When do you wake up? What's your mood like? What are the things you do and don't do? So it's nice to just experience ourselves from a third person perspective without judgment. We're not trying to find any solution, not trying to solve anything. We're just getting curious. What's it like to experience myself like I'm outside of myself, like an out of body experience? Just seeing myself wake up, go through the day, do my things, the things that make me happy, things that make me sad, my patterns of thinking and behaving. Before we know it, this life will be over. It's good to take stock. It's good to be a little reflective. Just check. What is the trajectory of this life? There was a famous Buddhist teacher who asked his students to make a promise that after he died, they should grind up his bones into powder and make pellets, mixing it with atta, flour, and these little pellets, food like pellets, to scatter them over the hillside. The students couldn't understand why he'd make a wish like that. And they were actually quite horrified. How can we grind up your bones? You're our teacher. And that was his wish. He said, no, you have to promise me when I die, you should grind up my bones and make small little edible pellets and spread it over the mountainside. It is my wish that all the ants and tiny creatures who eat these pellets get a seed of Buddhahood. I was very moved by that story. So just simply sitting and allowing ourselves to be attuned to the frequencies of this full moon night. Nothing much has to be done. Just enjoying being. Enjoying being nobody. Nothing to prove, nothing to attain, no one to become. The journey from here to here. Really tasting this moment of life. No matter how pleasant or unpleasant it is. For some of us who aren't accustomed to this, even the simple act of being can create restlessness. And I invite you to really taste your own restlessness. It's all right. Taste it without the word restlessness. Taste it without the word boredom. And there's something very powerful about that. There's a famous teacher called Adya Shanti, and he wrote a poem when he had an awakening. And one line of that poem I really like. He called it Tasting Your Own Roots. Tasting your own roots. What's it like to taste your own roots? What's it like for all of you to be online? Not for part of you to be distracted and dispersed. What's it like for all of you to be online right now? Really here, present for yourself. Fully feeling your feelings. Tasting your own roots. I'm going to read this poem by Adya Shanti. I love this poem. One day while meditating, Adya Shanti heard a bird chirping. And the question arose, who hears this sound? One day while meditating, Adya Shanti heard a bird chirping. And the question arose, who hears this sound? He then wrote this poem. Today I awoke. Finally, I see the self has returned to the self. Today I awoke. Finally, I see the self has returned to the self. The self is none other than the self. I'm deathless, I'm endless, I'm free. The birds outside sing. The birds outside sing, and there am I. The seeing of leaves on the trees, that seeing am I. This body breathes, breathing am I. I'm awake, and I know that I'm awake. Seen from the old eyes, everything is asleep. Again, a delusion. Seen from the old eyes, everything is asleep. Again, a delusion. But now I am awake. I am the play. I am the game. I am the delusion. I am the enlightenment I sought, looking everywhere. I am the enlightenment I sought, looking everywhere. Nothing is separate, nothing is alone. I am all that I see, all that I smell, taste, touch, feel, think, and know. I am awake, and this awakeness is the same as Sakya Muni Buddha's. Today the leaf has returned to the root. I am all name and form and beyond all names and forms. I am spirit, no longer trapped in a body. I'm free. I'm free because I'm awake. So ordinary. Who would have thought? Who could have guessed? So ordinary. Who would have thought? Who could have guessed? I'm home. I'm really home. 10,000 lifetimes. 10,000 lifetimes. But today I'm home. 10,000 lifetimes. But today I'm home. This is not an experience. This is me. I'm awake. Finally, I'm awake. Nothing has changed. But I'm awake. Nothing has changed. But I'm awake. Before I tasted the root many times and I felt how delicious. Before I tasted the root many times and felt how delicious. Today I became the root. How ordinary. Before I tasted the root many times and felt how delicious. Today I became the root. How ordinary. What's it like to not just experience this moment, but to become this moment? Can you make that journey from experiencing this moment to becoming this moment? Something in you has to die for that. The persona has to die for you to go from experiencing this moment to becoming this moment. Can you allow yourself a mini death right now? Can you make the journey from experiencing this moment to becoming this moment? From your thoughts about the now to the undiluted now, uninterpreted now. Can you make the journey from tasting your root to becoming the root? From experiencing this moment to becoming this moment. What's it like to do everything for nothing? And when you're in the presence of someone who's disturbed, going through a hard time, What's it like to not just hold the space for them? What's it like to be the space? And just feeling very supported by the subtle energies of this full moon. You're in exactly the right place, having exactly the right experience at exactly the right time in your life. It's a good way to think. Takes away resistance, takes away doubt. One of my teachers, Byron Katie, has a nice saying. She says, what if everything you ever desired, what if everything you ever really desired is what you have right now, including the drama, including the uncertainty, including the everything. In other words, what's it like to be a lover of reality instead of a lover of fantasy? Which doesn't mean you can't have goals and aspirations and dreams. It just means you have them from a foundation of loving what is instead of from a foundation of resisting what is. So, one more time, Byron Katie is asking us a question. What if all that we really wanted, really desired, what if all that we really want and desire is what we already have? And that doesn't stop you from having dreams and goals if you want to have. It just means you do it from a foundation of loving what is instead of resisting what is. And just see if you can feel your heartbeat. See if you can bring your attention to your heart. You need to hold your breath for a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds. See if that helps you feel your own heartbeat. What's it like to not just experience your heartbeat, experience your heart, but to become your heartbeat, to become your heart? I was 16 years old and doing my first meditation course. And it was a single moment of shifting from experiencing this moment to becoming this moment. And that changed my whole life. So I know that transformation does not take time. Transformation happens outside of time. Transformation happens when time dies, and that's always available. What's it like to stay centered in the heart? Whether or not you can feel the heartbeat, just stay centered in the heart. And what's it like to imagine for a moment that all our hearts are synchronizing, beginning to beat in the same rhythm right now? creating a network of light, a field of resonance, a field of intelligence, a field of possibility, a field of grace and blessings, a network of pure consciousness. Just keep the attention on the heart center. Maybe feeling your own heartbeat. Maybe sensing the heartbeat of this entire community. And maybe also sensing the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Even more subtle, but definitely there. It's not as difficult as it sounds. Feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth along with your heartbeat and the heartbeat of the Sangha. Also sensing the rhythm of the full moon and the sun right now. What's it like to sense the heartbeat of the entire cosmos? Whether or not you feel anything, just open yourself up to the possibility that you can. So if you feel like, you can take a 5 minute break. Otherwise, just continue. Especially those of you who are feeling a little sleepy, you can stand up and stretch, wash your face if you like, come back. All right, let's continue with our practice. We'll do a practice called All It Is. All It Is. I learned this practice from a friend of mine in Boulder, Colorado. In this practice, I'll use the word God. And what I mean by God is the grand overall design, the God, grand overall design. So it's the intelligence that animates everything. So this definition of God, grand overall design, the intelligence that animates everything. The question for you is it only somewhere or is it everywhere? Is it only sometime or is it every time, all the time? This grand overall design, God, God, is it only for some people or all people? Some beings or all beings? Is it only in some things or all things? So I'm getting some comments. All, always, everywhere, and for all beings. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a question. So for most people, they would agree that it's not just somewhere, it's everywhere. It's not just in some being, it's in all beings. It's not just sometime, it's all the time, every time. It's not just in something, it's everything, all things. It's not limited in any way. So while there's no right answer to the questions I asked, let's just go with the assumption that it is everywhere, all beings, all times, all things. So by that definition, would you agree that everything you're hearing now, so my voice is just a small part of it. There could be other sounds you're hearing. And even the sound of silence is a kind of sound. Everything you're hearing now, maybe traffic sound, maybe bird sound, maybe no sound. Everything you're hearing now, this is what God sounds like. This is what the grand overall design sounds like. So if you ever wondered What does God sound like? Here you are. This is what God sounds like. And everything you're seeing, your eyes might be closed or open, doesn't matter. Everything you're seeing, if everything and everywhere and all the time is God, grand overall design, then everything you're seeing now, this is what God looks like. If you ever wonder what God looks like, this is what God looks like. Could be darkness or color, could be bright or dim, could be this or that form, doesn't matter. You might even be seeing a person. This is what God looks like. So just play this little game with me. Everything you're hearing is the voice of God. Everything you're seeing is the sight of God. And if everything at all times and everywhere is God, then everything you're touching now, sensing now, that's also God. So if you ever wondered what God feels like, this is what God feels like, whatever you're feeling now. And if you ever wondered what God smells like, then whatever you're smelling now, because we've agreed that grand overall design, all times, all things, all beings, everywhere. So whatever you're smelling now, this is what God smells like right now. And so then everything you're tasting right now, this is what God tastes like, the grand overall design. All times, all places, all things. So whatever you're tasting now, this is the taste of God right now. So all sensory experience, sound, sight, touch, smell, and taste. This is what God sounds like, looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like right now. Grand overall design. And if everything is God, then whatever thoughts are arising right now, if you ever wondered what does God think, well, these are God's thoughts. But if everything is God, then these thoughts are also God. And these are God's thoughts. Grand overall design. All the circumstances of your life, if everything is God, all times, all places, all people, all things, then all the circumstances of your life, the setup of your household, the kind of work that you're doing or not doing, financial situation, dynamics between family members. If everything is God, grand overall design, then this is also God. So if you ever wondered, what are God's circumstances? Well, these are God's circumstances right now. These are the circumstances of the grand overall design. And if everything is God, grand overall design, then whatever moods you have, emotions you have, your current emotional tone right now, if everything is God, then this is also God. So if you ever wondered, what is God feeling? What are his moods? Now you know. This is what God is feeling, the grand overall design. And if everything is God, grand overall design, then even your life story is God's story. It's the story of the grand overall design. Time of birth was God's time of birth. Events in childhood were God's events in childhood. Loved or not loved by parents, teachers, friends. If everything is God in all times and all people and all things, then if you ever wondered what is God's life story, the grand overall design, well, now you know. Your history belongs to God. Your history is nothing but God's history. And if everything is God, all times, all places, all people, all things, then whatever peculiar ways you feel unfulfilled, incomplete, whatever ways you feel you're a failure or not enough or not there yet, whatever your peculiar inadequacies are, whatever your signature hangups are, well, if it's all grand overall design, if you ever wondered, what are God's hangups? What are God's inadequacies? Now you know. So all it is, the grand overall design, all sensory experience, all thoughts, all emotions, all history, all inadequacies, all dreams and desires. And now we come to a very interesting point in the practice. There's a part of us that's trying to follow these instructions, thinks it understands or doesn't understand, likes it or doesn't like it, believes it or doesn't believe it. But if everything is God, all times, all places, all people, all things, then even this last part that thinks it's following these instructions understanding them or not, liking them or not, then that part is also God. That's also the grand overall design. It's the most advanced game of hide and seek ever invented, where the grand overall design has disguised itself within the grand overall design and is playing a very advanced game of hide and seek. But in this moment, the grand overall design recognizes the grand overall design. God sees God, even if for a micro moment. You no longer experience this moment, you become this moment. Can you complete the journey from here to here without losing your way? What's it like to have the ability to stay in your heart? Stay with the beat of your heart. And in the middle of your family, in the middle of your work, in the middle of whatever game you're playing, to stay in your heart. Stay in sync with the beating of the heart. And let that entrain and condition and bring into vibrational harmony whatever else is going on. So instead of life entraining you and influencing you, how about you entrain everything in life? So all the people, all the circumstances, all the events are coming into vibrational harmony with the grand overall design. God. What's it like to step into your godhood? Doesn't have to be very grandiose, very simple. It's about emptying yourself of everything that you imagine yourself to be. Instead of experiencing life, you become life. Instead of experiencing this moment, you become this moment. You'll notice some really interesting things as this recognition stabilizes. Earlier, you believed that you were dependent on the world. Suddenly, you find the world is dependent on you. You're not inside the world is inside of you. You don't travel from one city to the other. You remain absolutely still. The other city travels to you. You've never moved an inch in your life. The one in the mirror ages. The one on this side of the mirror has no age. You don't walk down a sidewalk. The sidewalk walks through you. In other words, everything you were taught is turned on its head. You become aware of the extent of your miseducation. Not that it was done on purpose. It was part of the advanced game of hide and seek. Eleanor Roosevelt had a very simple philosophy of life. She said, fill what's empty, empty what's full. Fill what is empty, empty what is full. Scratch where it itches. What a simple and complete philosophy for life. Fill what's empty, empty what is full. Scratch where it itches. I had a person call me some months back and was sharing how he loved a program that I did. He loved a program that he did with me. However, he was very concerned that nothing lasts. All these inspirations come and go, they don't stay. So the inspiration comes, it's there for a few days, and then it's gone. Same old, same old. Nothing really changed after all. So if everything is God, G-O-D, grand overall design, then this pattern is also God. This finding and losing, this gaining and losing, this inspiration and lack of inspiration, this positive momentum and losing the positive momentum. This is also God. Because if everything is God, then this is also God. This is also the grand overall design. This is also the advanced game of hide and seek. God playing hide and seek with itself. So we imagine we want to finally learn something, get something that will take us from this place to that place. From this place of attending sessions, learning things, getting some inspiration, losing it, getting some inspiration, losing it, doing some practice, falling off the bandwagon. We want to get to that place where it just continues. It's continuous bliss, continuous inspiration, continuous deep practice. And it doesn't quite happen. So Byron Katie reminds us that what we are really desiring is what we already have. So could it be that the fastest way to get what we want is to love what we have? Could it be the fastest way to get what we want is to absolutely love what we have? Love it to death. And if what you have is frustration and discontentment, then you love your frustration and discontentment to death. Because God is choosing to experience frustration and discontentment right now. And we're not saying don't have desires, don't have an aim. You can have an aim, you can have a desire, but can you do it from a foundation of loving what is instead of resisting what is? What's a better foundation? Because if you do it from resisting what is, tomorrow, even if you get what you want, there will always be a fear of losing it, because you'll come back to this place which you don't want to be. You can only lose that fear when you love what is, isn't it? Can you complete the journey from here to here without losing your way? What's it like to not just experience this moment, but to become this moment? So one more time, I want to read Adya Shanti's poem, and with that we will conclude the meditation and we will have a little discussion if you want. One day while meditating, Adya Shanti heard a bird chirping, and the question arose, who hears the sound? He then wrote this poem. Today I awoke. Finally, I see the self has returned to the self. The self is none other than the self. I am deathless. I am endless. I am free. The birds outside sing. The birds outside sing, and there I am. The seeing of leaves on the trees. That seeing am I. The body breathes. Breathing am I. I am awake, and I know that I am awake. Seen from the old eyes, everything is asleep, a game, a delusion. But now I am awake. I am the play. I am the game. I am the delusion. I am the enlightenment I sought, looking everywhere. Nothing is separate. Nothing is alone. I am all that I see, all that I smell, taste, touch, feel, think, and know. I am awake, and this awakeness is the same as Sakyamuni Buddha's. Today, the leaf has returned to the root. I am all name and form, and beyond all name and form. I am spirit, no longer trapped in a body. I am free. I am free because I am awake. So ordinary. Who would have thought? Who would have guessed? So ordinary. I'm home. I'm really home. 10,000 lifetimes. 10,000 lifetimes, but today I'm home. 10,000 lifetimes, but today I'm home. This is not an experience. This is me. I'm awake. Finally, I'm awake. Nothing has changed. But I'm awake. Before I tasted the root many times and felt how delicious. Before I tasted the root many times and felt how delicious. Today I became the root. How ordinary. Today I became the root. How ordinary. A moment of gratitude. A moment of gratitude to the moon, the full moon, to everything that supported you in today's practice. Moment of gratitude to technology, enabling all of us to connect. Everything that supported us. Moment of gratitude. The unburdening that had to happen has happened. The blessings that had to be received have been received. The integration that needed to happen has happened. It's a beautiful completion. And for that, there is gratitude. We can all take 3 slow, deep breaths. Beautiful. If you like, you can rub your palms together. Bring them over your eyes. Over your face. Lovely. Beautiful, everybody. I'll give you a couple of minutes if you want to share in the comments what was an important part of today's practice for you, or anything else you want to share in the comments. Take a couple of minutes if you want to add something in the comments. We have a few questions. Is it wrong to have expectations? I'm feeling like an empty jug today, who's been pouring out her duties of various roles and receiving little in return. Most of today's session has gone by crying. How can it be wrong to have expectations when all of us have it? Right. So it's not right or wrong, but just notice what happens. Notice what happens when you have it. Notice what happens when you hold it lightly, not tightly. Is it possible to do our duties without this hook attached? Okay, I'm doing my duties, but you better give me back. And don't say it's impossible. Right? Just notice the operation of that way of thinking. I'm going to do this and this. It's like a contract, like a transaction. I'll do this and this and this, but then you should give me back this and this and this. I'm not gonna ask for it. You should just give me. So it's all right. I'm glad even the fact that you cried, it's all right. It's a healthy thing. Just notice, right? So I wouldn't say it's right or wrong to have expectations. Notice what happens when you have expectations. Notice what happens when you have them tight, when you have them light. I think it's been a healing session for you, even if there was a lot of crying. Thank you for joining today. How do I fully accept and submit to the grand overall design without compromising the commitment to the causes, family, career, community that I care about? Well, if it's a grand overall design, then even your causes, your family, career, community is also part of the grand overall design. It's not separate from it, right? So this is an interesting question. Can you ever go against God's will? If God is everything, can you ever go against God's will? It's actually a very deep question. Is it possible to go against God's will? There's a story about Narad Muni, and Narad Muni is seeing Yamraj, Lord of Death. He's seeing Lord of Death looking at a little bird. No, it was not Narad Muni, it was Garuda. Yeah, Garuda. Garuda is this great big bird. And he's looking at Yamraj, Lord of Death, looking at this little bird and smiling. So he says, this cute little bird is about to die. Let me save this little bird. So Garuda quickly takes a little bird, and he's a huge big bird, right? So he can fly very fast. So he flies at tremendous speed. He flies across the 7 oceans. He flies across the 7 great mountains. He flies from one planet to the other planet. And he goes to a very far off distant place. And there, in the hollow of a tree, he puts a little bird. But before he knows it, before he can do anything about it, that entire bird, I think what happened? There's a lightning strike. And that entire tree catches fire. And that bird dies. So he flies back, and Yamaraj, Lord of Death, so he says to him, that it's amazing. I was looking at that bird and I was smiling. I was wondering, how is it going to happen? I see that this bird is not supposed to die here. In a matter of a moment, it's supposed to die really far away. And I can't imagine how that's going to happen. And sure enough, you came and you took it there and it died. It was supposed to die in a tree far away on another planet. I love that story. So who's to say, like Garuda was trying to save that little bird, but in the process, whatever fate that little bird had, that's what happened, right? So who knows where do you differentiate? This is my plan. This is God's plan. These are very beautiful and deep questions to consider. So if it's all the grand overall design, then can you ever do anything that's against the grand overall design? So I would say, consider this, reflect on these questions, Rohit. It'll take you down a rabbit hole. It's a very nice rabbit hole to go down. Why do we meditate? To remove all baggage and search out more to put in the bag again. It can seem like that, isn't it? There is an endless, it's like a well. No matter how much water you take out, more comes in. There's a nice teaching in Zen. They say enlightenment is an accident. Meditation makes you accident prone. So we meditate to wake up from the illusion of duality. I love this phrase which came up in today's practice. From experiencing this moment to being this moment, becoming this moment. That's the shift. And you can spend years meditating, just experiencing this moment. But at some point, you become this moment. There is no you experiencing life. There's just life experiencing life. It's completely transparent. So until then, it can seem like, oh, it's just little de-stressing or little helpful with this or that. So all the benefits that the mindfulness books talk about. Right. So for me, we meditate to meditate. We don't meditate for any other reason. The singer sings, the birds chirp, the exercise folks do a lot of exercise. The meditators meditate. We do it because we do it. Because we can't help it. I've been experiencing deceit, but I still love him. He dumped me for no reason. What to do? He wants to be friends only. Should I accept this offer? How should I accept it? Accept it is a doing of grand overall design. Then why it all happened that he came into my life. You know, it looks like we want this relationship. But if you ask very carefully, what do I really want? If you're really honest with yourself, what you're wanting is not a relationship, but you're wanting a certain state of being. And you're imagining that when I have him with me, saying this, doing that, behaving like this, then I'll have that state of being. So you have an outside-in approach. And you may get glimpses of it here and there. But you will always remain insecure like this. So why do we want not just relationship, but why do we want anything in life? Any desire you want to fulfill? I like these three questions. So what do I want? How will I feel when I have it? Can I feel that now? So for example, in your question, what do I want? I want him to continue to be with me. I want him to continue to love me. How will I feel if I have it? Oh, I'll feel so peaceful, so elated, so powerful, so relieved. Can I feel that right now? Even for a micro moment, can I feel that right now? To the extent you can feel that right now. See, the fastest way to relief is relief. The fastest way to contentment is contentment. The fastest way to peace is peace. Not first he loves me, then I feel peace. That's a big, uncertain scenario. So to allow yourself to experience a state of consciousness that you're imagining comes at the end of something. This is to be empowered. And then you can still do whatever you want to do. You can be friends or not. And that's fine. But you'll not do it from a neediness. In any case, neediness is not very attractive, is it? Clinginess and neediness, possessiveness. How do you feel how do you feel when you're done with someone and they're trying to possess you? I don't think your love for them dramatically improves or increases, does it? So yeah, I'm sure it's emotionally trying for you right now with all of this. But reflect on today's session and see if any part of today's session gave you a moment, a glimpse of peace. And that would be an important thing for you to keep coming back to. Why does the extraordinary feel ordinary at the end of the poem? Yeah, this is a good question. You know, there's a nice saying in Buddhism that when the monk meditates on qualities like love and compassion and joy, then all these birds gathered around start chirping. When the monk meditates on things like love and gratitude and joy and compassion, all these birds gathered around start chirping. They're the birds that are attracted to him. But when the monk penetrates the illusion of being separate, when the monk penetrates the when the grand overall when God discovers God, the hide and seek game even momentarily ends, then all the birds fly away. So what is more beautiful than the extraordinary is the ordinary. You see, ordinary people want to be extraordinary. Extraordinary people want to be famous. Famous people want to be legendary. Legendary people want to be wise. Wise people just want to be ordinary. So beyond the extraordinary is the ordinary. And because it is so beautifully ordinary, see, as long as you're looking for extraordinary experiences, you'll be very discontented in life. Because how many extraordinary things can happen in a day? Right? A few will happen, or in a week, a few will happen, in a year, a few will happen. But the ordinary is always here. So when you can love the ordinary, that's when your life becomes extraordinary. There's a nice saying, great people don't do great things. Great people do ordinary things in a great way. So I think that's what he means by the ordinary. What if God wishes to up-level the advanced hide and seek game, yet God finds all other forms of God are very caught up in the game? What do you feel God should do? How do I know what God should do? So you see, God finds all the other forms of God are very caught up in the game. So there is no other forms of God. It is not this God and that God. It's grand overall design. It's one God. It's not this and that. It's like different waves in one ocean. So as long as you're still thinking of this God and that God, you're still part of the advanced hide and seek game is not over yet, right? So in India we say namaste. Namaste is a very advanced greeting actually. Namaste says I recognize the God in you. I recognize the divinity in you. The highest in me sees the highest in you, knows the highest in you. So actually our ancients gave us this greeting, namaste. Namaste is actually a way of ending the hide and seek game, at least momentarily. I don't see you as a person. I see you as that. I see you as divine. I see you as my true reflection. Right? So God doesn't have to do anything. God has just remember. See, God does not have preferences. So how could God feel to do this or that? God just is. So yeah, interesting. Does it mean we are helpless if it's all predestined? This is very paradoxical. That as long as you think, what did I write once? I wrote that if you believe in destiny, that's your free will. And if you believe in free will, that's your destiny. So I don't think it's like we're helpless. It's like Ramana Maharshi has used to say that the only free will you have is not to believe your present thought. That's the only free will you have. The moment you start believing your thoughts, you're plugged into the matrix. You're plugged into this and that and good and bad and near and far and like and dislike and me and you and all the rest of it. So I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said not exactly what he said, not exact words, but this is what I've understood from it. That he's saying the only free will you have is not to believe this present thought, this present sensory experience. I woke up the other day with a very powerful, continuous, almost like a mantra, a dream that went continuously like this. What if none of this is real? 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 What if none of this is... I woke up, last 1 hour of my sleep was just this. Any dream that came also, what if none of this is real? What if none of this is real? And so Ramana Maharishi is saying that's the only free will you have. Everything else can't really say it's free will. So your only free will is to not believe the stories that you're spinning or that are spinning. And so here's the funny thing, when you no longer believe that story, that's the only thing that changes destiny. So it's paradoxical. When you accept it's all destined, that's the moment you're free from destiny. But as long as you keep fighting it, like we gave the example of the Garuda, trying to save that little bird, ended up fulfilling the destiny of that little bird. All right, good. So life and events are just illusion. That be, just be, that's all. All this religion thing is a waste. Well, it's not a waste. It's like complicated mind need complicated teachings. Simple mind needs simple teachings. Right? So different strokes for different folks. So yeah, we've come to the end of our time. There are lots of beautiful comments here as well. I'll go through them. Just want to very quickly, those of you who are still with me, just take another couple of minutes. Just want to share with you some of the upcoming things that are happening. And just so that you're aware. So we're going to keep having these full moon, new moon sessions. And the upcoming dates, today's 29th. Next one's going to be on 13th of December, Sunday, 29th of December. So you're going to keep getting, so anybody can attend this. It's a 2-hour session from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. like today. Right, so that's one. Then I'm going to have a live virtual journey. I really recommend this. My friend Saurabh has put this together. It's from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the 6th of December, Sunday. It's a live pilgrimage. We're going to go to places where the Buddha lived and taught. And I'll be hosting this. It's a 2-hour live. You'll really find this really fantastic. He's got live music happening and live guides in all of these places. I was really inspired. We did a run through the other day, trial run through. It was very, very inspiring. And he's kept it by donation. So please do attend and donate as you can. I think the recommended donation is about 35, 40 US dollars, but you donate as much as you can. So then we have a 9-day course I'm offering from 15th to the 23rd of December. That's going to be 1 hour every morning, 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. India time. You can register for that if you like. And then we have, this is going to be a year-ending session for 5 days. I'm going to share the best intention tools that I know. We're going to come to, what can I say? Just we have gratitude and integration of whatever happened this year and step into the new year with a fresh consciousness. 5 days, 25th to the 30th of December, from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. I've kept this at night time. And then this is a much longer course. This is a 9-month course. If you enjoy these kind of 2-hour sessions, then we'll do them twice every week. Two 2-hour sessions every week for 9 months. Once in the morning, that's going to be on Mondays, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And once in the evening, Thursdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're welcome to join that if you like. And then finally, I've created an all access membership. Already I have people who join my Rigpa course. So they join me for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. So if you want, you can just join me in one go. For 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days, then you have access to all the courses that I'm offering for that period of time. And also any previous courses that I've offered. Yep, so this is all some of the things. And if you want to transcribe, some people have been really enjoying this, although it takes effort. But like the talk I gave today and other talks, if you want to transcribe it, then that's almost like a sadhana practice in its own right. And that'll also give you access to my courses at a lower rate. Great, so this link will be available to you. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm going to have there's so many comments, literally hundreds of comments. I'm going to read all of them. But thank you so much for joining me today. And so many of you stayed on all the way till the end. So really appreciate that. And have a good night. Take rest. And we'll be in touch. We'll see you again soon. The highest in me bows to the highest in you. May today and every day be a luminous day of your life. May the blessings of this full moon stay with you. May it permanently upgrade your consciousness, your vibration. May the rest of your life be better than you could have ever anticipated. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. All right. Be well.